Do you hate the thought of working past 55 or 60? Do you hate not being able to live the life you deserve today? Do you hate not knowing what your financial future looks like? It's time to stop doing what you hate. Here's your host, Mr. Harold Green.
Hello, everybody. This is Harold Green of Brightree Financial Group, and it is time to stop doing what you hate. How are you today? I hope you are having a fantastic day. I'm doing all right. It's the weekend for me, and had a chance to come back to Hawaii for a little bit and see some clients and take care of some business here. And one of the things I've also been able to do is to recalibrate my thought process a little bit. And that's something that I want to talk to you folks about. And so got to go hit up my favorite spots to meditate. And it's like a healing thing, and it feels different. Walked around the property that we have here, and, we live in a condo here. And so it's huge. We have a big pool. We have a nice gazebo area. We're right on the marina, so we can go walk by the marina, see the ocean. It's cool. And I was just very thankful about it. Just thanking God for everything that I have and just being grateful, because we're in a time in the world where for some people, there's a lot going on. And although we have a lot to be thankful for, there's a lot of fear out there. There's a lot of pessimism out there. There's a lack of hope for the future out there. Some people are just feeling hopeless. They're feeling helpless. And I want to talk to you about what you can do right now in order to take control of your life. So heading in towards the end of the year, I think is a time for gratitude. I think it's a time for Thanksgiving and reflection. It's a time when things slow down just a little bit, but it's a time when things can be recalibrated. So are you ready? 1, 2, 3, let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Now, I got a couple of questions I want to ask you. The first one is this. When it comes to recalibrating and thinking about your finances, and the title of today's show is Recalibrating Your Financial Compass, are you still thinking 30 years ago when it comes to your finances? Are you are you still thinking 1980s, 1990s when it comes to your financial strategy? Have you been infected with the financial mind viruses of your peers that are going around out there? Are you stuck in a financial time continuum when it seems like nothing is ever going to change for you? And I want to talk about somebody in the Bible, the rich young ruler. And you can look this up. And he had a difficult choice to make because, due to his thinking, because he had a lot of wealth and he had a lot of possessions, and he missed the greatest opportunity of his life. And when I read that scripture, Jesus told him, hey, go sell all that you have to sell and give to the poor. Some scriptures say give the money to the poor. And he was saddened by what he heard. But the one thing he didn't do, and this baffles my mind, he didn't ask Jesus. He said, okay, so if I got to sell everything I have to sell and come and follow you, how am I going to pull this off? Because if I have to give away all my money to the poor and come and follow you, are you going to take care of me? Are you going to make sure I'm okay? He never got clarification, and he went away sad and dismayed. And it's a very complicated scripture, because at the end of it, Jesus said it's harder for a rich man to get into heaven than it is for a camel to go through an eye of a needle. And all he was saying it was very simple. When you put your trust in riches and things like that, you can't see how things are done on the spiritual realm because you're still stuck in the realm of the natural. And he was trying to get that young man to recalibrate his mind and how he thought about things, but he couldn't see it. And he went away saddened. And I think he missed one of the greatest opportunities of his life. We're in a season right now financially where if you recalibrate and change how you think about some things, you're going to be able to take control of your life. You're going to be putting yourself in control of your very own destiny. And I always talk about this. We're going to talk about discussing the limiting financial beliefs and lack of financial disciplines that destroy the 97%. Well, who's the 97%? There's a stat out there that says that only 3% of the people in the country in the United States are going to be able to retire with everything they need to live on. The other 97%, they're gonna live a very lackluster retirement, have a very lackluster life in retirement, and not have all the assets they need to take care of everything they need. Many of them have built their financial plans on shifting sand. It's not solid. And that saddens me. And that's why I built the Rapid Retire Financial Planning process. gives you the keys to your own destiny. Because I believe through prayer and faith and action that I've put myself and my family in control of our own destiny. Everybody says, well, you don't know what God has for you. You don't know what life is going to look like. You don't know this and you don't know that. But what am I supposed to do? Wait and see how it unfolds? Or can I get in the car and start it up myself and drive to where I want it to go? And I believe that God gives us the ability to do that. He gives us the freedom to do that. A lot of people lay themselves at the feet of their companies, pension plans, government programs, and other seemingly guaranteed programs. And I'm going to get into this real quick. They focus on paying down debt versus building wealth. They have a debt mentality versus an income mentality. And one of the things I talk to clients about if you have financial goals, what is it? Is it paying down debt? Is it building wealth? Or is it income accumulation? Is it paying for college? And a lot of them pick paying down debt because they think that if we just pay down debt, then, we'll have enough money left over to do everything else. But what if you lose the income part? If you lose the income part, then you can't pay down anything because you have no income. So I said, the first thing we need to focus on is income generation. Income generation. Income generation. Now, for me personally, I have a lot of debt. I also have a lot of assets to pay that debt. Therefore, I continue to build and I live now before the sweet someday that many people hope for. Like, yo, Harold, we're doing all this so that someday we'll be able to travel. Someday we'll be able to do this. And someday we'll be able to do that. But what if that someday never comes? Out a client who passed away of cancer recently. And I was so sad. It broke my heart. And her spouse said, we saved all this money and we wanted to be able to travel and do things. And now my spouse is gone. And now everything that we hope for it's gone. It's been destroyed. And I felt so sad. And from that time, I went back home and I told my wife, I said, you know what? No more sweet someday. No more. We're going to do this someday. No. Someday is today. And I literally picked up, changed my company's address, moved to the mainland, bought a house with what I wanted in the house, and the savings that I'm saving by not having an office in the different state and paying expenses in that different state, I'm able to enjoy the things that I wanted to enjoy today. Now, there's a lot of work I had to put into that, but I was able to pull it off. And I'm excited about that. And I want to be able to share that with you, that we don't need to wait for a sweet someday. Now, I do believe in planning and saving for tomorrow and being responsible about tomorrow while yet living for today. I do believe in planning for tomorrow. I do. But I also believe in living for today. That's just how it is. I have a lot of conversations with people about this. And I'll ask them, do you want a great life? And let's, you want a great life, or you just, you want your house paid off with no debt? How does that give you a great life? A lot of people have homes paid off, but they can't go nowhere. A lot of them do all of this and now they're 70, 80, 90 years old and they can't move, or they're sick. They can't enjoy the money that they built because why? They had a different kind of mindset. And now they're regretting it. I hear that. And so I want to talk to you about that. You want no debt or a great life. I want to get into the 3 phases of aging. Okay. So we got the go-go years. And the go-go years are, when you're in your early 50s or 60s and maybe even early 70s, you can still go, you can still get around. We still have people running marathons. We have people traveling and doing all of these things. These are the years that you can get going and see things in life while your body is still physically able. And then we got the slow go years. That's when you start to slow down. You're not able to do as much. You're not able to bench press 300 pounds anymore. You're not able to run a 26-mile marathon in 3 or 4 hours. You're slowing down. It's going to happen to all of us if we're blessed to be able to see those years. And then we have the no-go years where we can't go nowhere. We are practically headed into the sunset of our life. And so I tell clients all the time, you have the no-go years to pay your house off. You got the no-go years to do all of these other things over here in terms of like who you give money to and so on and so forth. You can do that then for the most part. Now, I'm going to qualify that. It just kind of depends on what it is that they're attempting to do, right? And then, okay, so I said, well, okay, in your go-go years, here's what you do. You work hard and you enjoy. You take your vacations. You do all of these things because the future is not promised to you. We can plan for it, but it's not promised to you. So therefore, as a young person, and I'm talking to young people right now specifically, here's how you make it in the top 1%. And it's probably going to require you to calibrate your mind. And I don't want you making the mistakes of your elders. Now, some of them have done quite well and they have great advice to offer. But if they're not in the top 1% or they're not top 2% or they're not top 3%, and they're in the 97%, there's not a whole lot they can tell you because they're in the they're in the 97%, like where they're not going to have enough to live on the rest of their entire lives. You may not know that because they're not going to tell you what their financial situation looks like. And the first thing I'm going to say is do not sign up for a 401k in your early income years. You're like, what? Don't sign up for a 401k. Everybody signs up for a 401k. Yes. You want to be in the top 1% or you want to be in the 97%? That's right. I want to talk about why most 401ks are the reason most people don't make it. Number one, they can't save enough, right? You can barely pay your bills and you're putting away 10% in your 401k and you can barely pay your bills and you got to go take on debt. Credit card debt has risen the fastest in history. Why? Because the money is tied up in everybody's 401k. They can't get it. And a lot of times people choose the wrong investments in their 401k. The wrong investments. They don't know what they're doing. It's like they're just throwing darts out there and seeing what it hits. A lot of people have limited investment choices in their 401k. Some of these mutual funds are just hot garbage. I'm not going to get into it. A lot of people take on large amounts of debt, like I said, because their money is tied up in their 401ks. What about the matching, Harold? It's free money. You're supposed to take the free money. Well, look, in your early income earning years, your taxes are not that high. This is probably when you ought to be funding a Roth IRA or funding individual investments like stocks and things like that. Now, investments do carry risk of loss. Go do your own research, do your due diligence, understand your risk tolerance, talk to a professional, get a second opinion before you invest any money, okay? In your early income earning years, this is when you're saving money for your down payment on your home, right? You can also, like I said, I did a show titled Flip the Script, and you guys can go back and hear that show. It's called Flip the Script. That's where we look at building your life differently than everybody else, okay? What about the matching? It's free money. It's going to cost you something. There is no such thing as free. And for the life of me, I don't understand that quicksand mentality of cheap or free. I don't deal with cheap or stingy people. It's extremely off-putting to me. It's the save $1 over here, but burn $100 over there and then turn a blind eye like you don't know what the heck is going on. You don't know what you just did. I'm in the Porsche Club, and I subscribe to different Porsche groups on Facebook. And one person said, do you guys put Costco gas in your car? How do you feel about Costco gas? And some guys are like, yeah, I put Costco gas in there and so on and so forth. And I'm like, I've seen the lines at Costco. I've seen the lines. If you're going to sit there and drive a $100,000 car and go put Costco gas in it, it's not the fact that Costco gas is bad. It's you wasting time sitting in the line getting Costco gas. Like literally, if you're rich and you can afford gas at any gas station, why would you burn time sitting in line? This is a mind virus to me for some people. And I said, you know, if you enjoy sitting in line at Costco, getting Costco gas, if you have time to do that and you enjoy doing that, go for it, do that, right? Because you're not saving a whole lot. When you add it all up and you run the numbers, you are not saving a whole lot. So I want to talk about people that are chasing what I call financial fads. There are a number of them out there and they change with the wind. You have to balance out. And many people are one-dimensional when it comes to their finances. They do not have the ability to think bi-directionally. It's like, okay, pay off my house. All right, no debt. Okay, get $1 million in my 401k, or get 10 rental properties, or I'm going to own 1 million shares of X, and every dollar I have is going to buy 1 million shares of X. The question is like, what are you really after? I told somebody that the other day. I said, what are you really after? Why do you want 10 rental properties? Well, because, you know, the real estate never goes down and this and that. Or why do you want $1 million in your 401k? $1 million used to be a lot of money, but it's not. Why do you want to pay your house off? Why do you want to be in no debt? Well, the Bible says I'm not supposed to owe anybody anything. Well, I owe a lot of money, but I don't think that's going to stop me from getting into heaven. Okay. It might be a little risky, but there's a strategy to what I do. And again, you can't eat pride. On the way home from the gym yesterday, this really stuck out to me. And I was kind of like trying to get the show off yesterday morning. I was really trying to get it off. But I kept running into people that I know, because when you come back into town, and people haven't seen you for a while, it's like, yo, where you been? Where you been? Like neighbors telling me what's going on and like trying to get me up to speed. And it's like, yo, like I got to go get this show off. I got to get this out of my head. And from the conversations I had and just kind of driving back home from the gym, calming down, this one thing crept into my mind. And I'm not trying to offend anybody when I say this, but I see many people, they settle for being indoctrinated versus being educated. I'm going to say that again. Many people, they settle for being indoctrinated versus being educated. Why? Because being indoctrinated is easy. It is easy for somebody to gaslight you. It's easy to sit there and for people to like to pour propaganda down your throat and you get all hot and bothered about it. That's easy because this is going to lead to you being controlled for the profitability of others. It is not a win-win situation. Being indoctrinated is a win-lose situation. And I'm going to talk about the college situation because these places a lot of them are no longer educational institutions. They're indoctrination camps. Why? Because I see the thinking of the people in the world. I see how people handle their finances. I see how people can watch TV and get the wrong idea and then call me and tell me to make trades based on the crap they're hearing on TV. I know where this is coming from. And this is where I want you to recalibrate your thinking if you've been infected with a mind virus. I want you to sit down and write out your goals and then think about what you're doing and then look at the probability of you pulling that off based on your thinking. And if you need to recalibrate something in regards to your overall plan or your overall thinking, now is a good time to do it. Like just calm down, pump the brakes, calm down, and then look and see what it is that you're doing. And I'm going to put it out there. If you want me to help you with that, just call my assistant, Beverly, get on my schedule, 808-521-4401. And I can help walk you through some of the initial steps to unraveling some of the thinking that you have to make sure you're not in moral conflict with your financial plan and your goals. Because sometimes your thinking is what's limiting you from achieving everything that you ever wanted in life and being in control of your own destiny. I told my wife the other day, and I said, I have this conversation with people. People say, Harold, you're so lucky. I'm like, what the hell did luck have to do with anything? I said, this is what I'm doing. When the market is bleeding red, I'm buying options on stocks that are beaten up, right? I do my research. And then when it pays off, I can enjoy life, right? I'm not sitting there scared like everybody else. I'm being contrary. So if you want to have a contrary great life to the 97% and you want to end up in the 1%, you got to do what the 1% do, and you can't think like the 97%. It's easy to think like the 97%. It's easy. There's not a lot of work to do. Fund my 401k. I'm not saying funding the 401k is bad, but there's a time and place to do it, right? There's a time and place to do it, right? Because if you just go with the herd, that's easy. But if you end up in the 97% and you end up hating yourself for it, that can be avoided. So I want you to get educated so that therefore you can become elevated. Get educated to become elevated. So I'm grateful to be able to share this show with you folks today. Like I said, we're heading into the end of the year. It's time to be grateful. It's time to be thankful. It's time to recalibrate. It's time to get educated. So therefore you can become elevated. And I'm not talking about in a prideful kind of way. So thank you very much for tuning in today, everybody. Until next time, 1, 2, 3, let's get it.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.